And welcome to the European Council in Brussels for Talking Europe on France 24. I'm joined today by the President of Lithuania, Dalia Grybauskaite. Madam President, thank you very much for being with us. Now, your country, Lithuania, is a former Soviet republic. You won back your independence in 1991. You joined the European Union in 2004. You also joined NATO. And last but not least, on January 1st, you adopted the single European currency, the euro. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But first, you're a black belt in karate, and you're referred to as the Baltic Iron Lady. You're certainly one of the most vocal critics of Vladimir Putin. You went as far as to call Russia a terrorist state, and you're calling for tough sanctions against Russia. You even recently decided to reintroduce military conscription in Lithuania. Does it mean that Lithuania fears that it might be Russia's next target?
Opposite. We want to show that we can protect ourselves. And we want to show that we are not only asking to be defended by NATO, and we are doing everything as example to our neighbors, in Baltic region, in Poland, that we are ready to fulfill all our obligations. Not only increase conscription and reintroduce, not only increase defense spending, but we already last November created rapid reaction forces, even first and before the NATO did. And I'm very happy that NATO now understood the realities and geopolitical situation in our region, and rapid reaction forces after Wells from 5,000 today are declared 40,000. So that means that it's not only that we are vocal, but we are realistic and we are right, talking openly about the dangers and behavior of our neighbor.
As you said, NATO and particularly your American allies have decided to reassure the Baltic states. They have agreed, Washington has agreed to store heavy military equipment in the Baltic states, including in your country, Lithuania. Can you tell us more about the plan?
Not everything, I can tell, but we are satisfied. It is again the agreement which we agreed already in Wales. This was in the package, and Americans and NATO headquarters are now working a little bit faster than they thought they will be, and the reality is pushing us to do all agreements and implement them very much and very fast. So I'm happy that these decisions are pushed quite quickly.
Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, feels angered by NATO's decision. He says that he will retaliate. Some within NATO fear that we might be dragged into an arms race with Moscow.
I think that we need to do what we need to do. We need to defend ourselves. And I don't think that we need to please anybody, and especially Kremlin, in his behavior. So
you don't believe in a possible dialogue between Europe and Russia at this moment?
I would like to have dialogue with anybody who wants to have a dialogue. But if you are facing only threats and aggression at this stage, there can be no dialogue.
Now, what about the sanctions? European foreign ministers recently decided to prolong them. They will stay in place for at least another 6 months. Do you believe that those sanctions are paying off?
Usually sanctions are paying off only in the medium and long term, not in the short term. And usually they are not reaching final goal. It's more the symbol how we evaluate the behavior and how we punish for, let's say, aggressive actions and military actions and even terroristic actions on Ukraine soil. In reality, the sanctions never reached final goal in any region of the world where they have been applied. But we have no choice, but because Kremlin and its leaders today understand only strong response and without any hesitation respond and united respond.
President Grybauskaite, a year ago on this very show you complained that the Europeans were divided, not united enough, maybe not aware of what you call Russia's threat. Do you feel that Europe is more united today?
It is a pity to say that after a year so many things happened and a lot of Europeans realized how dangerous Russia's behavior today is. It's nothing to be happy about it. I never wanted this to happen, and for Europe to face such confrontation, because Russian nation is not worth of it. But the behavior of its leadership today is very dangerous, not only to its neighbors, but to all peace in Europe.
Ethnic Russians make up 6% of the population of Lithuania. In Latvia, almost I think a third of the population is ethnic Russian, roughly a quarter in Estonia. Are ethnic Russians being manipulated by the Kremlin, by Russia?
Some of them. I would like to say, and I don't want to complain about our minorities. Most of them are loyal, and most of them feel that they are citizens of Lithuania. And for us, they are important as any other minority. But of course, the propaganda attacks, the informational pressures which we're facing today, we are a frontline country, of course reaches some of them. And this is very uncomfortable and practically unavoidable. But that's exactly why Lithuania is strongly asked European Commission to prepare for informational strategy, new informational strategy, how to fight with propaganda, and together, all European countries. But of course, inside, we're also taking some measures. We adopted additional law, which is directed more to control, or at least to try to fight back the propaganda things.
And that could include a ban on Russian channels that...
Temporarily ban, also the penalties. But if the ban is decided, is going only via court decision. It's really, procedure is quite democratic and without censorship.
One last question on the story of Russia and particularly Ukraine. Lithuania is willing to provide weapons to Ukraine. Is it a good idea?
I'm answering usually this question. We are providing any assistance possible, which is in our arsenal, and that's our responsibility, how we see it, and we're doing it.
Let's move to another story, the immigration crisis. As you know, last week in summit was vastly overshadowed by Greece, of course, but you did talk about immigration. The Commission wants to put a scheme in place to better share the burden of immigration, because the reality is that so far 5 countries take in approximately 50% of all asylum seekers. Your country welcomes quotas, and how many asylum seekers are you ready to take?
We welcome any kind of mechanism we will agree upon together, but not enforced by force, but by agreement and on objective criteria. Because today, what we see we saw in Commission's proposal, the criteria were very strange, and for smaller countries, for Baltic states, was even 1.28% of all amount. For some countries, 0.9%. It was really very difficult to be explained. But we are ready to take, and Lithuanian government already pledging to take about 250 people now. If we calculate by GDP and population, it's more or less will be this amount. But we would like to see it on voluntary basis, because we're receiving immigrants not only from South and from Mediterranean, and we're ready to take them, but we're receiving from Ukraine now, from other east part of the world, and this is also European border and needs to be calculated in. So why we still stand for voluntary basis, and if there will be more permanent mechanism decided in future for equal criteria for all countries, without any speculations around it. And of course we need to solve it, but you cannot just go and automatically disperse no matter how many people will come to Europe. All Africa cannot be taken into Europe as a continent. We need to look into the reasons. We need to fight the reasons, because together with the people who are fleeing from the war, it is a lot of also human trafficking going on, and some black businesses around it. So we need to be very careful not to invite more invitees and more black business around the world into Europe. So we need to tackle both reasons and the consequences.
The British Prime Minister David Cameron laid out his vision for what he calls a better Europe, a better deal with Europe. You know that he wants to put the end result to the British voters in an in-out referendum. One of his favourite targets seemed to be Eastern European workers. According to the British Prime Minister, a number of them abuse Britain's welfare system. What do you respond to him?
I like your word abuse. If system can be abused, change the system or make it unabusable. But it's not immigrants guilty about it. At least, as I know, East Europeans in Britain are producing a huge part and huge amount of GDP growth. They are very good workers, very educated ones. I think that, yes, we can talk about some reforms in social, special benefit system, not to misuse by some people who are traveling only for their social benefit tourism, but to try to apply to the people who are already in some countries already giving huge impetus into their GDP growth. I think it is important things to be discussed, but we need to be careful and cautious, because it's not only about the member states and labor moving between ourselves. It is the core values of free movement of European Union, and each member very much values these elements. But it's also about from the third countries. We're seeing immigration from Africa now, from Syria, from Ukraine, from other countries. And here another problem is about how to deal with the third countries' immigrants.
Now, the French say there's only as far we can go. We won't give Britain an a la carte arrangement. Do you share that view?
I think that we need to be all respectful to the policies we agreed upon together. Already some countries, as Britain and others, have a lot of opt-outs on free movement, on Schengen, on internal affairs elements already. So it is, as I call sometimes, part membership. Of course, any country can talk and present its case, and we're always open to discuss it. We very much value Britain in European Union, but the core values, especially for our smaller countries, we enjoying them, we knew where we are going, and we would like to fight for such kind of values and joint policies in Europe.
And Lithuania does not have opt-outs. As a matter of fact, you're a full member of the European Union. You've even joined the single currency on January 1st. We understand that it wasn't only an economic choice, but an almost, I should say, geopolitical one. For you,
yes,
it was the culmination of your embrace of European values. Am I right?
Yes and no, let's say partly. Yes, because it is our geopolitical choice. It is the symbol of deep integration. And for us, it is a final step of our membership finalization. But it's also de facto. We already had euro, because our currency litas was backed with currency bond system, practically not fluctuating. In reality, we had euro from the very beginning of our membership, but it was different name. Now we just received the different name.
So the transition has been pretty smooth for Lithuania?
Very smooth, and there was no price increase really, because the deflationary elements are today everywhere in Europe, and this helped us to have very, very smooth transition. But of course, all benefits, especially the cheaper borrowing, and immediately we received A grade from Standard & Poor's. So really, we got a very fast push up, and this is very satisfactory.
And that means that as a Euro member, you took active part in the debate around Greece. You recently tweeted the Greek government still wants to party, but the bills have to be paid by somebody else. Do you mean that in the whole drama we've been commenting on France 24 for the past 2 weeks, the Greeks are responsible for what's going on?
It is very difficult, of course, to criticize or evaluate any country's government. I myself was involved in my country's critical situations and how to solve them in beginning of in 99, then in 2001, and then in 2009 again. So I myself negotiated standby arrangements with IMF. I know how difficult it is, but it is necessary. It is necessary to take responsibility, to go for difficult measures, even sensible measures, I mean especially in social area, and you need to explain to people, or you just reducing a little bit temporarily salaries, pensions, or you will be not able to deliver them at all. And this choice is now in front of Greece. And this was practically not made by somebody else. It was unresponsible fiscal policies by generations of Greek politicians. And then I was a budget commissioner already, we saw some statistical bluffs, and the Greek government in 2005 was asked to pay even 2 billion to European budget because of statistical misbehavior on GDP and fees of membership. So really we're seeing such elements of behavior and responsible for a long time. And now still new government is not willing to take responsibility and asking somebody else to take this responsibility and somebody else to pay for their irresponsible reactions.
Dalia Grybauskaite, I remind our viewers that you're the President of Lithuania. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching this edition of Talking Europe. I was at the European Council in Brussels. It's time to go back to Paris now for more news on France 24.